Your avoidant ex didn't discard you. I know that may sound almost impossible to believe because they changed overnight. They cut you out of their life with no real explanation. And that made you feel worthless, like you were disposable. That's why the word discard feels so right. It matches the shock, it matches the confusion, it matches that feeling of how could I matter so much one day and then mean nothing the next. But avoidantly attached people don't really discard, they deactivate. And those are two very different psychological stories. Discard turns the parts that were real, the parts that were good, the parts that felt like love, into a lie. Deactivation allows you to trust yourself, let the good parts stay real, while also explaining the deeper truth of why the relationship became unstable. When someone discards you, and by the way, discard is really more about framing your relationship as narcissistic abuse. But when someone discards you, it's because you stopped serving the role they needed you to play. That makes a person feel used, replaced, and stripped of human value. Obviously, some people really were in a relationship with a narcissist and have been discarded. We don't have to get into that, but you have to wonder why the darkest label always seems to rise to the top. Why has the word discard become the easiest explanation? And if we're honest about what's really happening, it's because discard does something very powerful. It gives your pain a name. It gives your confusion a reason. It gives their coldness a motive, and it gives your heartbreak a story. Suddenly, the silence is not just silence. Suddenly, it means they never cared. It means they used you. It means you were thrown away. And when you are in that much pain, this kind of certainty can feel like relief. Now it feels like someone finally sees how bad it was. So, of course, the word discard resonates. It pulls you in. It feels real. It feels more raw than the actual truth because the actual truth, deactivation, sounds clinical. But discard, it sounds like the wound. It's okay to admit that, but this is also where the problem begins. Because the word that best describes your pain may not be the word that best explains what is happening. Now, not everyone using this language means harm, but you see it everywhere, all the time. Somehow the most extreme language keeps showing up. But if every avoidance shutdown gets described with narcissistic abuse language, you can slowly get pushed into seeing the whole relationship through that frame. And that's dangerous because it can invalidate the truth of the relationship. It can undermine your feelings. It can cause you to second guess your own judgment. The question slowly changes from what happened to how did I not see it? They were using me the entire time. I was stupid for believing it was real. They never cared about me at all. And that is where language like discard can start to hurt you. It makes you reinterpret everything through the lens of narcissistic abuse. The warmth, the closeness, the tenderness, the chemistry, the way they looked at you, the things they said, the parts of the relationship that felt real, suddenly all of that gets pulled into one painful conclusion. The relationship meant nothing. You meant nothing. It was all fake, and you let yourself be used. And now you're grieving more than just the relationship. You are grieving your ability to trust what you felt, trust who you are, and to trust that you can love again without being hurt. So the issue is not only whether or not you were discarded, we know that's how it feels. The issue is what the label does once you start living inside of it. And what most people fail to tell you is that it makes your pain louder while making the truth smaller. This is exactly why the right word matters, because discard does not just describe how you feel, it rewrites the relationship. Discard says the love was fake. Discard says the connection was fake. Discard says the warmth was manipulation. Discard says you were used and then thrown away when you stopped serving a purpose. Discard says you can't trust your feelings. You can't see the good in what you had, and you don't know when you're feeling a real connection. Now, just notice what happens when you set the term discard aside and avoidant deactivation becomes the real story, one that explains their behavior while preserving the reality of the love and connection you felt. Because when you begin to realize how avoidantly attached people deactivate, not discard, then you understand that deactivation means they felt the strong connection between you. They may have cared deeply about you, meant everything they said to you, but when it all became too much for them, they started to feel overwhelmed and pulled away. Now, that is the difference. It explains how someone can love you in moments and still pull away at times. It explains how someone can care and still ghost you. It explains how someone can miss you and still avoid coming back. It explains how someone can feel this connection and still be unable to meet your needs in a relationship. And this is the part that matters most. Deactivation lets you keep the truth of what you felt, trust who you are, and see the good for what it really was. You may have felt a real connection. You may have seen something good in them. You may have loved the part of them that was warm, present, tender, funny, open, and real with you. That does not mean you were fooled. It means you experienced the part of them that could actually connect with you. And that is why this can be so hard to wrap your head around. Because in a strange way, believing they faked it would be easier. You could hate them for it. You could say you got fooled. You could close the whole chapter by saying they never loved me. But you know what you felt, and it felt real. It did, or you would not be here watching this. And that's what I cover in the next video: what avoidant love actually looks like and why it feels so real.